Today you're viewing a video on our MSW CASC Community Action and Social Change minor preferred admissions process here at the University of Michigan School of Social Work. My name is Colleen Kareem. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I am an online MSW program student services officer here in the Office of Student Services and Enrollment Management. Today, I hope to talk to you a little bit more about the MSW program as well as the MSW program application and give you a general idea of how we evaluate applications and what we look for in an applicant. But first, for our deadlines, if you are a junior in the CASC minor and are hoping to apply and start the MSW program in fall of 2022, you want to aim and apply on our March 1st deadline. This is coming up in just a couple of weeks, but this deadline does allow you to have an initial admissions decision by April 1st. You are welcome to submit your application later, but we do encourage that you submit it by March 1st. If you are a senior and are hoping to start the MSW program in fall of 2021, so this year, keep in mind we are on a rolling admissions, so we do encourage early application, but our early application deadline was on December 1st, and then our priority deadline is March 1st. This is also our final deadline for international applicants. Our final deadline for the fall 2021 start is August 1st. Again, as I mentioned, early application is encouraged, so I recommend submitting your application as soon as possible and not really worrying about the other deadlines. As many of you know, our MSW program is a specialized program, meaning that students get to focus in on a particular area of the field to have a more intense focus in that area. Our students will choose a pathway that, as you can see on the screen here, we have 8 pathways, ranging from micro, so the individual kind of practice work, to macro, more of a community kind of social systems type of work. So as a social worker, we do like to think of our lens as being micro, macro, or meso focused. And so the pathways that we offer do offer a training in some of those areas. Many of you have been asking me if your decision is finalized when choosing a pathway. And so I do want to let you know that on the actual MSW application, you're indicating an interest in 2 pathways. Your decision to the pathway is not finalized, nor is it tied to your admissions decision. You'll actually solidify and finalize your pathway when you apply to the actual, to your field placement in October. And that's usually in October of your fall semester. So I personally recommend and highly encourage you to learn all that you can about each pathway so that you can choose the best fit for you. So please know, like, of course, you know, in the Office of Student Services, we're more than happy to talk you through all of the pathways and help you kind of learn more about each pathway as well. But you are more than welcome to also view our webinar that's on our website under the School of Social Work website. And this can take you into a deeper dive about the pathways as well. All right, so now about the MSW application process. All right, so the review process is the same for both the on-campus and online program if you're deciding to go. We do evaluate the same information. I'll dive deeper into these in just a moment, but just to give you an idea, we take a look at personal recommendations, a supplementary statement, your overall human service and social work related experience, and of course, academics. In terms of personal characteristics, we do like to have a class that is diverse in a variety of different ways. So I do want to mention that we take a holistic look at your entire application. So we're gathering all of this information from different parts on your application. A lot of this comes into play not only in the recommendation letters that you submit, but also your supplementary statement, as well as your resume. Of course, these are not required. We just make note of it because maybe, for example, you speak more than one language and you may be able to provide services to individuals who also speak that language. We like to see that our student has a commitment to social action, advocacy, and of course, social work values. Obviously, we are situated in Michigan, so a lot of students apply from a Midwestern community. However, you might be in a geographic region or from a geographic region that is less represented in our program. And so we make note of that, especially if you come from an area outside of a Midwestern community. We do value success in another field. So for example, you might be majoring in art or in music. And so that might, like social work might be a little bit more of a career change for you. So you're bringing in that perspective with you, and that could influence the work that you're doing as a social worker. So art therapy or music therapy or so on. But we definitely make note of that. We also make note whether you've worked as an undergrad or not. So if you have like volunteer experience in undergrad, or maybe you've, have been a part of a social justice oriented student org or sorority or fraternity, we make note of that. If you've completed any internship work that's related to human services and social work, we also make note of that too. Great. So your recommenders are going to tell us a lot about you in terms of personal qualifications. So they will evaluate you in sensitivity, responsiveness and relationships, the concern for the needs of others, adaptability, good judgment, as well as integrity. We'll talk a little bit more about recommendations later, but I just wanted to put this on your radar in terms of personal characteristics. Now, the majority of our students often come with life experiences that have motivated them for social work practice. This does give them a knowledge and understanding of social justice issues. So some of this will be highlighted through your supplementary statement. But keep in mind, as you're writing your supplementary statement, this should also reflect on the professional work that you are ready to provide for others. But of course, there is going to be information about firsthand knowledge that you've gained through personal experiences. All right, so we do like students who are working in different areas of the field. So for some examples of less popular areas in our program, are students who are looking to go into macro social work, so community change, policy, nonprofits, maybe like becoming an executive director, or maybe becoming a program evaluator. So that's just an example of some macro social work, but other examples of less popular areas in our program include working with the aging population, child welfare, or working with developmentally disabled populations. We also do like to make note of our students who are interested in multicultural social work practice, so we take a look at that as well. Now, the moment we've all been waiting for, recommendations are extremely important as they allow us to look at hopefully unbiased feedback about you and your potential to be a social worker. We require 3 recommendations, and you can register your recommenders through our online system on the application. They will rank you in the categories that I mentioned earlier, but they'll also tell us how and how long they've known you. They'll also hopefully upload a narrative to speak about you as a candidate and why they think you're a right fit. So just some tips. Again, we do require 3 recommenders. You can ask your professors, and as a friendly reminder, you can also ask a graduate student instructor to write you a recommendation as well. But we do recommend a mixture of both professional recommendations and academic recommendations. Excuse me. So for a professional recommender, we do recommend somebody who has directly supervised you in a human service role, whether it was volunteering, interning, or maybe you volunteered through a class and your GSI supervised you in that, or a volunteer coordinator supervised you for that, they are also able to write you a recommendation, sorry. So something that stuck out with me when I was in undergrad and as I continue to go through my professional journey is you want to be sure to ask for a positive recommendation. That positive word right there can open up a conversation with you and your potential recommender to any feedback that they need to talk to you about. Now, the third tip that I have is you want to make sure that you ask your recommenders ahead of time to ensure that they have enough time to write you a letter. Also, keep in mind that your application itself would not be complete until we have all of the letters of recommendations. Okay, so moving on, you are required to submit a 3-page double-spaced supplementary statement. Now, we have 3 specific questions that we ask you to answer that are connected to the social justice issues that you're interested in, the skills that you're interested in learning, and why you think you would be successful in helping vulnerable populations. I did mention earlier that we take a look at your commitment to social work values. And one of our questions, which I am going to our next slide here, our third question, has you think critically about the social work code of ethics. It's truly important for someone thinking about the social work profession to become familiar with the code of ethics so that they can understand the values and the ideologies behind the social work profession. Overall, though, for your supplementary statement, we do take a look at the quality of the content and your understanding of social work. So I always recommend to take advantage of the resources that you have. So take advantage of the Writing Center that's on campus, or the Career Center on campus. Have them take a look at your statement to make sure that it's polished. But also count on your professors or your advisors or people in the field that can help provide you with good feedback. In social work in general and in the program, you are going to be doing a lot of writing. So we want to make sure that our students have the skill set that's needed to do the work that's needed in the program. One thing to also know is that the statement will be looked at by individuals who are making decisions on scholarships as well. So going back to our questions, the first question, discussing a social justice issue that you would like to address in your career. This is where I recommend taking a deeper dive and looking into our social work mission. This is located under the About section on the social work website. Our mission helps you learn what we are and what we care about, but also can help serve as a guide for you when speaking to your goals and interests in social work and your past work. So you really want to make sure that you're tying the supplementary statement to your commitment in helping socially and economically disadvantaged populations. Now, our second question is all about you, talking about your personal and intellectual qualifications. You want to use examples, but this is where we see that you have some relevant life experience that I've talked about earlier as well. And again, the third question regarding the MSW Code of Ethics. I do recommend really diving deeper into the National Association Social Work Code of Ethics. This isn't going anywhere. This is going to be, as I mentioned earlier, your guiding principle throughout your entire journey in social work. So this is super important to take a look into. Awesome. So that was a little bit about the statement. Last but not least, or I'm sorry, not last at all, but we do take a look at your experience as well. So your experience is evaluated through the resume that you submit, as well as the form through the application. So the form that I'm talking about has you list the position that you've worked and the hours that you've worked per week. Do not leave that blank. I don't recommend actually leaving any part of the application blank. You want to be as detailed as possible. But we take a look at both this experience form and your resume. We take a look at your paid work, your volunteer work, as well as your internship work. Um, we do have we have many students with many different varieties of work experience and internship experience. So a couple things that I recommend is right now that you're in your junior year, you really even if you're a senior, you want to take advantage, and we'll talk about this more too, of service learning classes, right? So classes that have a service learning component. So project outreach, project community, Detroit Initiative, or PCAP. Take advantage of those classes. That's going to really help build your experience. You also want to get involved in clubs or student organizations that are engaged in community and social justice work. And if you have done that, great, highlight it on your resume. If you have research that's focused on social justice issues or related to serving socially or economically disadvantaged populations, highlight that on your resume as well. We'd love to see that. So as I'm talking about your resume, you want to make sure that you highlight everything, include any campus involvement, but also under each position, you want to make sure that you're adding 3 to 5 bullet points about the tasks that you've completed, the skills that you've learned, and just what overall what you've done in each position. Something that's also helpful, and it's not on the slide, but if you have volunteer hours or any internship hours, including the hours that you've worked per week on your resume is extremely helpful as well. On your resume, you want to be sure that you have a human service experience header. So human service experience, and then if you have any experience outside of the realm of human services, you can include that under additional experience. Your resume can be 2 pages. Do not stress about this. I know a lot of undergrad professors really stress the importance of having a 1-page resume. And that's okay, but your resume can be 2 pages. If you have more than 2 pages, I do recommend utilizing the additional information section of the entire application as well. If you need help or want us to take a look at your resume, don't hesitate to reach out to me. My email address is karimcol@umich.edu. I'm more than happy to help you take a look at your resume. All right, last but not least, we do take a look at your educational background. So we do have an average GPA of 3.5, and this is usually calculated over your last 60 to 75 credit hours. So as a junior, you're not going to have the last 60 to 75 credit hours, and that's okay. We're taking a look at your undergraduate performance in the first 2 years. But if you are admitted tentatively. So we do require that you submit your your transcripts every semester. We take a look at the major that you're in, and as well, you've attended the University of Michigan, so that's definitely counted. We take a look at the research experience as well, and the quality of your academic recommendations. So again, they're going to be really telling us all about you and your personal qualities. If you've attended any training, so for example, if you've attended a suicide prevention training or any workshops that's related to social work or human services, you want to add that to your resume and also highlight that on your application. Okay. So I hope I helped kind of ease some anxiety when it comes to the application. Don't rush. Take your time. Don't leave it to the end. It can be overwhelming if you leave that application to the end. So take your time on it. Feel free to always ask if you have any questions. Feel free to reach out. But again, don't forget to ask your recommenders well in advance, probably 2 to 3 weeks in advance. Have someone proofread your statement. If you need help with your resume, feel free to send it to me Colleen. My email address is listed on the screen here, and I can help take a look at it. If you need an application waiver, now the application fee is $75. If you need an application waiver, please email a request to ssw.msw.info@umich.edu. Most importantly, please don't stress. Be yourself in your supplementary statement. Speak from the heart and speak about what you care about, what drove you into social work. It's, you know, it's hard to keep that statement to 3 pages, and that's okay. If you need to go over, I would recommend not going over 3.5 pages. We do review your entire application, as I mentioned, holistically. So anything you submit, we take a look at. Another tip that I have that's also not included in the screen here is utilizing the additional information page. So the additional information section on the application can be used if you have, for example, any withdrawals or incompletes on your transcripts. You want to just give us a brief written statement as to what you would attribute those grades to. You can also, once your application is complete, submit a request to initiate an admissions interview. Now, this admissions interview is really just a formal interview where you'll meet with 2 admissions counselors going over a structured set of questions, but it can allow you to address any aspect of your application that you want the admissions committee to overall review. So what we do is we take everything back, anything on your application that you submitted through the additional information section or that you've included in your interview, and we review all of that and give you a timely decision. But as I mentioned, again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. So for financial aid, I'm only bringing this up if you're a senior. So if you're a senior, you're going to be applying for financial aid now. And that's if you're starting the MSW program in fall of 2021. If you're a junior, you're not applying for financial aid until your senior year, and we communicate with you via email around that as well. So you don't have to worry about this now. But just a general overview, approximately 75% of our MSW students receive some sort of grant and/or scholarship assistance from the School of Social Work. On the application, there is a social work financial aid form that you're going to be filling out. That allows us to assess you for need and merit-based grants and scholarships. If you're doing part-time, there is a part-time tuition offset award that's available to students who are in the part-time program. We do offer special scholarships. Our special scholarship programs are tied to each pathway, and they give you a deeper dive into your area of focus. So they have not only a substantial award, but they do have classes that would utilize your electives, as well as a more specialized field placement component. You also want to apply for FAFSA. Now, if you're applying for fall of 2021 as a senior, you want to apply for this as soon as possible. As an undergrad student, you do have to include your parents' information, right? But when you actually come in to a graduate program, you're considered independent. So no parental information is needed on your FAFSA. Now, as a graduate student instructor positions and graduate student staff assistant positions are also available to you as well. They will cover your tuition for the semester that you're working, provide you with a living stipend, as well as health insurance. And you can apply for these once you're admitted and enrolled into the MSW program officially. So not in your junior year and not in your senior year. Now, I hope I was able to provide you with some information regarding the MSW program and the application, and I hope that I was able to ease some of your stress. But of course, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at any time. We are working remotely, so emailing us at ssw.msw.info is helpful. We do have an MSW chat that's available on our website Monday through Friday from 9 to 4. So please don't hesitate to reach out through that route as well. Thank you for joining me today. I hope that you all have a great day. Bye-bye.